Alright everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. And Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, the Bardock DLC rumor leak, as you want to call it, is been gaining quite a lot of fuel recently. Now, this is of course thanks to one of the most prominent leakers on the Twitter platform, as in DBS Hype. We have here even an article which was published from GameRant covering this news as well, right? Which is obviously this one here, where DBS Hype, just after saying that there's going to be a new DLC announcement, straight away he said, oh, I like the soundtrack for Dragon Ball Z original Solid State Scouter, which is from the Bardock special, right? So why is this important, and also why I believe that this DLC for Bardock, if actually it turns out to happen, it's going to be an actual full story. It's not going to be a season pass, so it's not going to be this. Okay, so this is really important why you need to know this, because, you know, just to understand the mechanics. It's not going to be like before, because before, as you guys remember, we got a season pass which had effectively the 3 DLCs. This is from the Japanese website, okay? And obviously we had the Battle of Gods, then we have the fight against Frieza, and then finally we had the Trunks expansion. Now, these two were actually meant to be together because each one of them is a direct continuation. The reason why they were released fragmented is, I guess, because of issues with the COVID and stuff like that, or just change of plans, whatever. But initially, they were planned to be released together, but then they changed their mind. And from previous historical reasons, we know that they had lots of difficulty, and also releasing such tiny small DLC doesn't make any sense, because the development time and testing time required for a like 3-hour DLC doesn't warrant the effort. It's better to release like a 10-hour DLC or like a 7 or 8-hour DLC, which requires similar amount of testing by the developers, right? And this is what happened with Trunks. So that's why Trunks, when it was released, was actually the most successful out of these particular DLCs, because this one at least had some meat into it, right? It wasn't just kind of like some fights and job done, because at the end of the day, the first two DLCs were, especially the first one, was more like a training and just to get the transformation and just one fight with Beerus, and that is it. Whereas this one at least had a bit of story that was pretty cool, but this one of course was the meat of it, right? So Bardock DLC, if the Bardock DLC actually ends up happening, of course, I believe that 100% or 99.9% it's going to be an actual expansion. It's going to have, of course, a new area, most likely Planet Vegeta. It's going to be with different villains. It's going to be with Frieza. Most likely we may also get the transformation for Super Saiyan for Bardock as well, as we've seen in the movie. So all these things, of course, which could be happening for the game, are actually some really good news, because we don't want to have, again, a situation where we are waiting for a DLC for like God knows how many months, half a year or something, and then the DLC comes, it's just 2 hours of content, and then we have to wait like another 4 or 5 months for another 2 or 3 hours of content. That is not great. I'm pretty sure the developers know that already. They know from experience that people did not enjoy that, and to give us the actual expansion is what they have to do. Now, talking about, of course, when could we expect this expansion? Now, looking at the time frames, you know that E3 is just not E3, the Summer Game Fest, because E3 is being cancelled. But the Summer Game Fest is just around the corner. We know that in early mid to June, they're going to make a lot of announcements. There's also a lot of news happening there, so I believe that Bandai Namco will actually make an announcement for this even before that, because that particular month is going to be loaded with loads of game announcements, and a DLC expansion for a game which came 2 years beforehand is not a great place to be in the Summer Game Fest. I believe what they're going to do is they're going to make a trailer announcement or a publication on the V-Jump magazine, potentially, and on that publication they're going to say, oh, by the way, this is the DLC you're going to get, and then they could hype it up a bit more with some more trailers later on. So in terms of the announcement, I would expect them to release an announcement between April and May 2022. In terms of a potential release date, that is completely down to the developer, but I do believe that if they end up releasing this this year, it would most likely be released at some point in early fall. So we're looking at potentially September, October, because during the month of summer, it's quite dry, and they want to make sure that this game releases when people are actually not on holiday and they can play the DLC, because many people in summer, they're going to be on holiday and they won't have enough time to play the actual game, right? The actual DLCs, right? So that's obviously a risk there, because if you release the game a bit too late, you risk of having to interfere with other big game releases, of course. For example, we know that God of War could be announced very soon, but this is a very different game. This is an anime style game catered for anime fans. So people who buy God of War are not that much likely to buy, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot DLC, because it's just so different, right? Nonetheless, guys, this video was just to clarify that, yes, I do believe wholeheartedly that we are going to get just an expansion. It's not going to be a season pass. It's not going to be like before. You're not going to get like 3 items. You're not going to get like 3 things, okay? It's not going to be like that. It's going to be, I believe, guys, this is from my personal point of view, based on my research and, of course, what it makes sense for the game. It's going to be like this, a single big expansion. Now the duration of the expansion could be around, potentially looking at 10 to 15 hours. I would hope that it's more than 10 hours. That would just make perfect sense. So if it's more than 10 hours and we get to explore the planet with Bardock and stuff, and hopefully they could introduce some quality of life updates to the main game as well. For example, a versus mode, for example, some other features, a challenge mode. Like, there's mods right now, literally, you can download and play versus mode with every single character in the game. So if with a mod you can do it like in a couple of hours, why not enable that feature for everyone to enjoy in the game? It just doesn't make any sense. But guys, that's it for today's video on the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, the story of Bardock, or Bardock, the father of Goku, however you want to call it. This particular DLC has been super hyped as being the potential next DLC. People, again, of course, we don't know 100%. This is just one person. DBS Hype could be trolling with us, but this guy is very well known. He's very serious about his tweets, and he doesn't really play around. And also, whenever he does a joke, he does say it is a joke. So I would take his word for it. I would say I'm 90% sure like he is right, because why not? Again, it could also be a joke on his part, just trying to mislead us, because at the end of the day he doesn't have any responsibility to give us the information before it gets released, because obviously because of all these disclaimers and stuff, and obviously he could get people in trouble. Obviously his friends, his contacts, whoever knows this information, they could get really in trouble if the information was leaked in advance. So could just be a very innocent way of kind of playing around and just making fun of the whole situation. But we'll see, guys. We'll see what happens. Of course, I am really keen to see this. Bardock, from my point of view, is going to be a better DLC than Trunks, because Bardock, I like his personality. He's very angry, he's very violent, he's very wants to fight for his planet, and then the clash between himself and the Frieza army could be a really good DLC with some cool cutscenes and stuff. So yeah, we're looking forward to this, guys. If this happens, this could be the best DLC we're gonna get so far for Kakarot. And this just goes to show that if this is actually happening, the plans for for super content is not going to be implemented in Z. It just makes sense, because why would you implement super content, as in the Tournament of Power, all that stuff, into the Z? You don't want to do that. What you want to do is just release a sequel for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, okay, for next-gen consoles, and then use it there. And over there, then that's when obviously you're going to be releasing a sequel for Super with proper graphics and more expansion, more power, more space, and just everything would be better, right? So guys, that's for today's video on this particular topic for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, because any new information, any news, any leaks about this particular DLC will be covered on this channel as soon as it becomes available. And guys, that's it for today. I shall catch you guys later in the next one. Bye.